Hello kids, welcome to another episode of Scratch. It's still your Scratch tutor, Ijoma. So today we're going to be learning loops in Scratch. Okay, let's begin. So what you will learn today is firstly, the meaning of loops in Scratch. Then secondly, the three major types of loops. Then the third one is how to create projects with loops. Okay, we're going to be looking at them one after another. But before then, what are loops? Loops are blocks that allow you to repeat action multiple times in Scratch. Okay? So the importance of loops in Scratch. Loops help you repeat actions like moving, jumping, or spinning without dragging the block over and over again. They make coding easier. So in Scratch, these loops help you set your code. Okay, you can code just once without having to do repetition. Like you don't have to keep dragging and dropping a particular block just to repeat what you have done. The loop block help you program your projects just once, okay? And then it can run forever or how many times you want or howsoever you want to set it, okay? So, but as you go on, you learn how to use them. So we have three major Scratch loops. There's more than this, but these are the ones that are majorly used in Scratch for coding. So we're going to be looking at them. The first one is the forever loops. The second one is the repeat loops. And then the third one is if-then loop. Okay? So this loop, I'll be explaining them for you one after another, starting from the forever loops to the if-then loop. Okay? So we'll take the forever loop first. So the forever loop repeats action endlessly. It is often used for continuous actions like making a sprite move or stay on the screen. You get? So this particular loop help you program your project to run forever. Okay? You don't have to do just once you click on your green flag or a particular keyboard button that you use to program, keeps running till you click on that red icon, the stop icon. That's when it stops. Okay? So we're going to do a project with the forever loop to make you understand how it works better. All right? So let's create a project with forever loop. We'll make a sprite, a ball. Okay? We're going to use a sprite called ball. We know your normal ball. Okay? That's what we're going to use for this particular project. We'll make a ball move continuously across the screen and bounce when it touches the edge of the stage. All right? So the first step we're going to take is to choose a sprite. You go to the icon on your screen and you choose a sprite. Okay? You go there and then you pick a ball. As you can see, you click here. Okay? Then the third step, you choose a backdrop. Okay? Then you go to your backdrop library, you choose Soccer 2. We're going to use Soccer 2 for this project. After that, you start coding. Okay? So the first block we'll be using is the when green flag is clicked. You drag it and you drop it in your script area. Then the second block we'll be using is the forever loop. Okay? And the forever loop, they are always found in the controls block palette. Once you click on the block palette, you go to your controls and then you find all the loops there. So you click on forever, you drag and drop under the green flag. Okay? Then the third block we'll be using is the motion block. You drag your move 10 steps block and you place it right inside the forever loop, just as you can see here on my screen. All right? Then the fourth block we'll be using for this project is the if on edge bounce, which you can locate in the motions block. You scroll down and then you pick your if on edge bounce, you drag and you drop it right inside the forever loop. Okay? After which we play your project to see what you've done. Okay? But now we'll be going to Scratch so we can do it together. Let's click here. All right, here is our Scratch. For this project, we will be needing our default cat. This cat is always here. It's programmed to be here on the stage, but when you are not making use of it, you can delete it. So we're not using it, we'll go ahead and delete it. Yes. Okay, then we'll go to our sprite library and we'll look for ball, because that's what we're using for this project. Our ball is right here. We'll click on it and it have appeared on the stage. So we'll go to our backdrop and we'll look for soccer. We can type it here to make our work easier. Soccer. Okay, soccer 2 is here already. Well, I think my network is delaying me from opening them, but here is soccer 2. So let's click on it. It's right here. Okay, so let's code. You go to your events, click on it, then you drag when green flag, click, drop it in the script area. Okay, you go to controls and look for forever loop. It's right here. We drag and we drop. Okay, then we'll go to our motion, click on it, and then we'll look for move 10 steps. It's right here. We drag and we drop it inside our forever loop. Okay, then we'll go to still motion blocks, scroll down, look for if on edge bound. It's right here. We drag and we drop right inside forever loop. All right, so now we can decide to expand our stage screen to get a better view of our project. Now let's play and see what happens. All right, can we see that the ball is bouncing? Okay, it's bouncing, but once it gets to the stage, it bounces back to the other place because we programmed it to be so. You can also program it to bounce up and bounce down, but for today we're going to do this particular one. Okay, so the forever loops is what make it bounce continuously. Okay, you see that? All right, let's go back. You see, once I remove this forever loop, you see the ball will be bouncing, but only when I click on the green flag. Okay, let me show you what I mean. Let's stop the project. Okay, let's remove the forever loop. Then we'll place this under here. Let's play and see what happens. You see that the ball is only moving when I'm clicking on the green flag, but once I place back the forever loop, it keeps bouncing without me having to click on any other thing again. Just once I click on the green flag once, it keeps running till I click on the red button. See that? Okay, so now let's place it back. You see that now is going back the way it's meant to be. So this is the function of the forever loop in Scratch. It makes your project run forever as long as you want. All right, so now we'll go back to our slides and discuss the next loop there. All right, so the next loop we're going to discuss is the repeat loop. The repeat loop in Scratch makes a group of blocks run over and over again for a certain number of time. Okay, the function of this repeat loop makes your project run how many times you project it to run. Okay, if you code it to run 10 times, to run 10 times, if you want it to run 20 times, to run 20 times, if you want it to run even 100 times, depending on the value you add and the repeat loop, just as you can see right here. Here is written 10. Okay, depending on how you project it to be. Okay, so now we'll do a mini project to see how the repeat loop work. Okay, let's create a project with the repeat loop. We'll make a sprite butterfly. So in this particular project, we'll be using a butterfly sprite. The sprite we'll be using is a butterfly. Okay, we'll make the butterfly fly around the stage with the repeat loop. All right. So the first step we'll be taking here is to choose our sprite. Click on this icon, and then we choose butterfly 2. We have two butterflies in the sprite library. We have the butterfly 1 and we have the butterfly 2, but we're going to be using the butterfly 2 for this project. Okay, then the third step, we'll be taking it to choose a backdrop. Okay, and this backdrop, we'll be using flower. We're using flower as our backdrop. Okay, so you go to your sprite library, you click on flowers, and then we code. Then the first block we'll be using is when green flag is clicked. You drag and we drop. And the second block we're going to be using is the go to X, Y, which we can find in the motions block. Okay, just as you can see here, you drag and you drop. Okay, then the third block we'll be using is the repeat block, okay, which you can find in the controls. Go to your controls, you click, and you drag and you drop under the go to X block. Okay, so the next block we'll be using is the move 10 steps block, which you can find in your motions block. Okay, you drag and you drop it right there. Then the next block we'll be using is the next costume block, which you can find in your looks. Go to your looks, then you look for next costume, you drag and you drop it right inside your repeat loop. The next one we'll be using is wait 1 second block, but we're going to change it to program it how we want. Okay, so you go to your motions block, you look for if on edge bounce, drag and you drop it inside your repeat loops. After which we're going to play our project, see what we have done. Okay, but now we're going to scratch. Let's do it together. All right, we're here in Scratch. This is our first project still running. You can decide to save your project. Okay, okay, here's our file. You can decide to save it. You click here to save your project. All right, to save the reading my system, then come right here, click on new to open up a new project. Replace content. Yes. All right, so for this project we will be using the cat, so let's delete the cat. Yes, then click on our sprite library. We're looking for butterfly, so let's type butterfly. All right, the butterfly 2 is here. Click on it. That's what we're using. It's right here on the stage. Go to the backdrop area. All right, we'll look for flowers. Let's just search for it instead of going around and looking for it. That would be better. All right, it's here. Okay, so let's drag it and keep it back like this. Let's place it here. This is the position we want it to start with. So let's code. Come to your events. Click on when green flag. You drag and you drop on the script area. All right. So we look for your go-to. Okay. This position is the position where it is now. So this is where we want it to start. Whenever we click on the green flag, okay, we want our butterfly to take this particular position. So that's why we are adding this block to it. All right. And we'll go to our controls. We look at the repeat loop, as you can see. We drag and drop under. Okay. So now we're going to move 10 steps on the motions block. Move 10 steps. We drag and drop right inside the repeat loop, just as I'm doing. Okay. And the next step we'll be taking is the next costume. Go to next costume. Okay. Go to looks, then you choose next costume block, you drag and you drop on that move 10 steps. Okay. Then we go to our events, no controls rather. Then we look for wait 1 second. Drag and we drop. Okay. And the last block we'll be using here, oh, isn't, wait, let me stop it. Okay, the last block we'll be using is go to our motions. We look for if on edge, bounce. If on edge, bounce makes it return back. Once you get to the stage, it turns back to this next stage, then it turns back. It makes it remain in the stage instead of disappearing. Because if you don't put this, a butterfly might fly away from our stage. I'll start looking for a butterfly, so we don't want that. Okay. Okay, that's it. Let's play and see what's happening there. The butterfly is flying so slowly. You know the reason why? Okay, because our weight, let's stop. Because our weight block is on 1 second. Okay, we have not programmed it yet, so we have to reduce it because the 1 second is making the butterfly fly slowly and we don't want that. Okay, so we're going to add 0.2 seconds. That would be better. Let's play and see. Okay, now it's flying. Do you notice it's flied and it stopped? See, can you see what's happening? It stopped. Why is it not flying continuously? Because we programmed it to fly 10 times. Our repeat loop is on 10, which means the butterfly can only fly 10 times and then it stops. Okay, and we don't want it to fly only 10 times. What about make it 50 times or even 100 times or even more if you want? But for me, I'll be programming it to fly 100 times. Okay, so let's go, then click here and then we change the value to 100, just as I'm doing. Can you see that? Now let's play. See. All right, the butterfly is now flying freely, as you can see. Now flying. That's another problem. Can you see? It got to the edge, it bounced, and then it's upside down. It's not, it didn't turn the normal way it's supposed to turn. Can you see that? So let's stop. We'll come right here. This place written direction. Can you see direction? Come to direction. You click there. Can you see? This pointing at the direction where it's flying to. So let's click on this. You see these 2 arrows. Then we'll click on the one at the right. Did you see what happened? Once I clicked on it, the butterfly flipped and it turned to the position it's supposed to be. Okay, so that's how you change your direction and you change your sprite too to turn the way you want. Okay, let's play. All right, you can also expand this to get a better view of our project. Now you can call this butterfly flying in the garden, in your flower garden. As you can see, it's a project, but you can choose to give it a name. Why not help? You can help me and give it a name, okay? So that's it. Now let's return to our slide to see the next loop we have there. Okay, this is what we just did. So the next loop we'll be looking at is the if-then loop. Okay, so the if-then loop in Scratch, the if-then loop is used to make decisions in your code. It runs an action only if a specific condition is met. Okay, so the if-then loop, you can use it to make something happen. Like you can say, if then something happens, do this for me. If then this happens, do that for me. But you understand it better with practical. Okay, so now we're going to do a particular project to help you ascertain how it works. Okay, this particular project will make you learn how the if-then loop works, okay, in Scratch. And it will also make you learn how you can use your arrow key to move around. Okay, it's like you're learning 2 things. Once you learn how the if-then block works, and then you learn how you can use your arrow keys to move around sprites on the stage. Because you may not apply only the if-then loop. You can actually choose to, but that is That's when we start creating games. When you create games, that's when the arrow key button will be more important. But for now, let's do this particular project and you see how it works. So for this particular project, we'll be using a beetle. So we'll make the beetle crawl around the wall. Make it crawl around the wall with arrow keys. Okay, so we'll use a beetle as our sprite, and then we'll use a wall as our backdrop to make it make sense. You get? So now we're going to our step one. Okay, our step one is how you choose your sprite. You go to your sprite library, you choose your beetle. And the second step, you go to your backdrop library, and then you choose wall 1, because we have wall 1 and wall 2. For this project, we're going to use wall 1, right? Okay, so, and then the first block we'll be using is the when green flag script. Okay, to start our project. We have so many other blocks that you can use to start your project, like the when space key is pressed, or when the sprite is clicked. These are blocks you can use to start your project. But for me, I like using when green flag is clicked. So you can make a choice. You can either use when green flag is clicked, or you use when space key pressed, or when the sprite clicked. Okay, for this project, we'll be using when green flag is clicked. So the next block we'll be using is the forever loop. We'll drag and we'll drop it. And then the third block we'll be using is the if then loop, which is the loop we're discussing about. You drag and you drop it inside the forever loop. Okay, so then you go to your sensing block. Okay, you drag the key space pressed, you drag it and you place it inside. There is a space, as you can see here. There is a space here. Okay, this space is meant for another block. So the block you're placing inside here is the key space pressed. Okay, you drag the block and you place it right inside there. All right, then the next block we'll be using is you go to your motions and you look for change Y by 10. You see where I'm hovering my mouse, right? Okay, you click, you drag it and then you drop it under, or rather inside the if then block, just as you can see in the image. So the next step we'll be taking is you look for the point in direction, which is in the motion block. You drag and you drop it inside the if then loop. Okay, and the next step we'll be taking is repetition. We do repetition with some changes. Okay, we'll be repeating with some changes. Okay, so we go to our controls. We drag another if then block. Okay, we drag it and we drop it under the first if then block. As you can see here on the image, you go there, you click on it, you drag and then you drop. Okay, then the first if then loop we changed the key arrow to up. Okay, so this will make our project, once we click the up, our sprite starts going up. So the second one, we're going to change it to down arrow. Okay, change it to down arrow, so that once we click our down arrow button, our sprite starts going down. Okay, then the change Y by X, we are going to change it to -10. The first block has 10, so the second one is going to be -10. Remember, I told you in our X and Y coordinates that Y axis is for the up and for the down, when you want your sprite to move up or to move down. So the upper part of the Y axis is the positive, okay, the normal Y. Whereas the down part, when you want it to come down, you have to add a minus to your Y, okay, to make it start coming down. Okay, so that's it. Then the next block right here is the point in the direction of, okay, this first point in direction is on 0. Okay, the 0 is the upward movement. Okay, so once you add the 0, it projects your sprite to start moving up. And then this 180 is the downward arrow. When you add 180, project your sprite to start coming down. You understand it better when you start doing the practical. So we're going to do the practical together. Okay. So the next step is still another repetition. Okay, because we are using our 4 arrow buttons on our keyboard. That's what we are using. So we project for the 4 of them. So the third one will duplicate this particular one that we have done here. You can choose to go through the steps over again, but you can also duplicate, which I'm going to show you when we start coding it together. I'll show you how you can duplicate to make your work easier instead of coding from the beginning again. Okay, so you drag your if, you duplicate, and then you make some changes. You change here to right arrow. The first one is up arrow, the second one is down arrow, and then the third one will be right arrow key. Okay, then here, instead of using the change y by 10, we are going to use the change x by 10. Do you know why? Because now we want our sprite to move from the left to the right, and from the right to the left. Okay, and when I taught you about the x and y coordinates, I told you that the x coordinates is when you want your sprite to move from the right to the left or from the left to the right. Okay, so now we are not going to use the change y by x. We are going to delete that particular block. Then we'll go to our motions block. We scroll down, and then we'll choose change x by 10. You see, we have change x by 10, we have change y. This is the one we use for the up and the down. So now for the right and left, we're going to use change x by 10. Okay, you drag it and you drop it same position as the first one. Okay, so then the point in the direction of, we use 90. All right, we use 90. Then the next step we'll be taking is still to duplicate. Now we have done the code for up, down, right, is remaining left. Okay, so we're going to duplicate the if then block, and still we'll drop it down here. Then we change the key. We'll click here, we'll go down, and then we'll choose the left arrow key. So the next block, okay, we'll now add a minus to our 10. Okay, remember I told you that the x axis, the right hand of your stage, okay, is your positive x, and the left hand side of your stage is your negative x. Okay, so now that we are programming our sprite to move to the left, we'll be using a negative sign to make it move left. Okay, all right, then the last block we'll be using here is the point in direction of minus 90. Okay, so when you are done, your project will be ready. You click here and play. All right, now we're going to Scratch to go and do the project together. Okay, all right, this is our previous project. We'll click, let's scroll down, click on files, and then we'll save to our computer. As you can see, yeah, completed. Now we can start a new project. Okay, they're saving to your computer so you can access your project anytime you want. You can always go to your files and look for that particular project. You give it a name so that you can easily access it. Okay, now let's start. We'll not be needing this card, so let's delete the card. Go to our sprites library, and we'll look for B2. B2 is right here, so we don't need to search for it. Let's click on the B2. We'll go to our backdrop library. Okay, why not search for it instead of going around and looking for the wall? Let's look for wall. All right, wall 1. Our 1 is right here. Let's click on it. All right, it's here on the stage. I think our B2 is too big. Let's reduce the size of our B2 to 80. 80. All right. I think this is okay. This is okay. All right, now let's begin. We go to When green flag is clicked, you drag and you drop. Okay, now we'll go to our forever loop. We drag and we drop. Now we'll go to repeat. No, we're not using repeat, we're using if then, because we're talking about if then. Click on if then, we drag and we drop it inside the forever loop. Can you see? Now we'll go to our sensing. Where is sensing? Sensing is right here. Let's click on it. And then we choose key space pressed, just as I showed you in our slide. Let's drag and we'll drop it. See where I'm dropping it. Can you see? Can you see that I drop it right here? And it's there. Okay, now let's click on this down arrow beside the space. Can you see what I'm doing? You click on it and we choose up arrow because we are programming for up. All right, now let's go to our motions block. Okay. Let's look for change Y. Change Y by 10. Drag and drop. You see that? See that? Okay. Now, when I click on the green flag and I start clicking my up arrow key on my keyboard, see what's happening? It's going up. But I don't just want it to go up like that. You see, it's just going up. It's just going up. I don't want that. So I want it to face up while going up, not just going up. So for us to program that, we're going to our motions still. Go to our motions and we look for points in direction of that to make our sprite to flip to the direction we want it to once we click on that particular button. Okay, let's drag and drop. But the direction is on 90. Let's see if it's correct. No, the 90 is pointing towards the right direction and we're programming for the up direction. Okay, so we drag this arrow. You see, we click on it, we drag, we move it to up. You see, and the up is 0. You see that? Okay, now if I'm now clicking up, it's now moving up. Can you see what's happening there? All right, let's click on the red button and continue. Now we're going to duplicate this particular block. Instead of dragging and dropping, you can easily duplicate. You right click and then can you see the 3 options there? You can either duplicate, add a comment, or delete block. That is, if you don't want to make use of the block you brought out to the scripts area. Okay, you can easily delete it by right clicking. You choose the option you want. So but now we want to duplicate, so let's click on duplicate. You see, just duplicated the 4 blocks because they are in a loop. That's why it duplicated them together. Okay, so now that we have duplicated it, we place it under, can you see that? Place it under the first if then loop. All right, it's there now. Now let's make the changes. We've programmed the first one to be the up arrow key. Now let's program for the down arrow key. So you click here, you go down and you choose down arrow key. All right, that's it. Then change Y by 10 is going to be change Y by -10 in order to make it come downwards. Okay, so let's click there. All right, let's add a -10. Can you see that? And then point in the direction of, okay, you see it still operates because we duplicated the first one, so we are going to change it. We click on this arrow and we bring it downwards to make the arrow point down. That will make our sprite come down when we click on the down arrow. Can you see that? Now let's see if it's working. All right, you see it's coming down and it's going up. Okay, because we have already programmed the up and the down. Okay, now let's program the left and the right, since we are done with the up and the down. So now we're going to still duplicate to make our work easier. Instead of going to drag all these blocks again, let's duplicate. Click on it. Can you see that? We duplicate. Now we have duplicated. Let's make some changes, just as we did with the second one. Okay, so for here, we are going to change it to right arrow. Okay, let's program the right arrow, the right arrow key. Okay, so now we're not going to be using change y by x, just as I explained to you in our slide. Okay, so we're going to pick this. We don't need this block. Let's delete the block. You see, the block is gone. Now let's look for change x by 10. That's what we need, because we want our sprite to move right. Okay, this is it. Then we're going to change this value, but then let's see if it's correct. We click on it. You see that? Then we make it point right. Okay, since we are programming for the right, let's take it to the right. The right is 90, as you can see. All right, let's see. Okay, let's click on the green button, because you can only start working when you click on the green button. You don't just go straight and start clicking on your arrow key. All right, let's see. The right, we have programmed for the right button. You see, up and down, right, up, down. Now is remaining the left arrow key. Let's program for the left arrow key. Come here, we duplicate. But before then, this thing is still on play. Our code is still on play. Let's pause. You see that? Now let's click, and then we'll duplicate. You see that? Let's drag and drop right under the if then. You can see. Let's scroll up. Okay. Now change it to the left arrow. Yeah, that's it. So now we are going to change this to -10. That will make it move left, because 10 is for right. The -10 is for left. So you see that? Now point in direction of, let's change the direction to left. Can you see that? All right, that's it. We just programmed for left. Okay, so now we can decide to expand our screen to get a better view for project. Let's play and see. All right, you can click on your 4 arrow keys to make it move up. You can actually use this to create a game, but we'll do that in our future classes. Okay, for now I want you to learn the basics and how to do these things by yourself. All right, can you see? So this is what the if then does. Okay, can you see that? If key up arrow pressed, then change y by 10. Okay, that's, if you start pointing to that direction, we'll program it to. This one is the up arrow, then this one is point in direction of, which is also up, according to the way we changed it. Okay, you saw everything we did. You saw the steps we took. We did this together. You can try it out when you have your free time, or you can follow the steps. You can always pause the video and get it right, follow the steps, and then you see yourself doing it. And that is it for this particular class. All right. I remember that Scratch is all about trying out new things. You can go to your Scratch, use a different sprite, use a different background that's not the same with the one I used. Okay, just to see what you can do. Okay, and you know when you're able to create something out of scratch, you'll be happy and you'll be motivated to learn more. Okay, so you can explore, go there, try out new things, do the practicals of the things we just did. You can change your backdrop and keep trying new things. Okay, all right, so that's it for this particular class. See you in our next class.